Well, good evening, everybody, and I appreciate you for taking the time tonight and joining us for the second part in our 7-part series entitled Masters Series. So, guys, one of the things I'm super excited about this evening is to be joined by one of my very close friends, Chris Reed, and I'll tell you about him in just a second, but I hope that you are sitting down here tonight and that you've got a full pad of paper and a pen, because you are going to want to take a lot of notes, absorb this, and this may be one of those calls that you go back and actually watch the recording 1 or 2 times. Because what you'll find out when you listen to Chris and what he is about to instruct you on is something that can not only help you now, but it is truly going to set your business to get the most out of our comp plan in the future. And you know what the great thing, he's going to be answering questions, the age-old questions of what the heck do I do and how do I set up my genealogy and all that other good stuff. So again, make sure that you're taking copious notes here. Now, we're not going to go through announcements. You know how to read. You can go into your back office. You can go in news and updates and everything like that. You can see what the Challenge Pack specials are. You can see all of that stuff. And if you're a brand new coach, I thank you for being here on this call. It's great that you're joining now and that you're getting into the series now, because this is where you want to be able to learn how to build your business later. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our special guest here tonight. And Chris Reed is someone whom I've had the opportunity to really get to know over the past 7 years. He joined Team Beachbody back in 2009. He was 17 years with the police department. Actually, was a SWAT commander. So you'll get to hear his personality come through when it comes to that, and that's what I love about hearing from him. But he is someone, like I said, he not only talks the talk, but he walks the walk. He's a 10-star diamond in one business center, 2-star diamond in another, 2-star diamond in another, and a diamond in another. So as you can see, he's like 14, 15 combined, whatever, star diamond. He has been a 5-time in a row elite coach, the only guy in the network to do that. He has been married to his beautiful wife, Cody, for the last 20 years, and she herself is a 6-star diamond coach in one business center and a 1-star diamond in another, and she's been an elite coach 3 years in a row, and they are the only couple to do that in this network. He's part of the Million Club. He does all of this while homeschooling his kids. He's got a 15-year-old son, and he has twins. Yes, 2 10-year-old kids there, boy and a girl, that are keeping him busy, and he's staying completely involved in their lives, teaching his son how to drive, being a dad, being present, and what he likes to call #design life. That's what he's done here. That's what he's going to help you to do here tonight by teaching you how to take advantage of this comp plan. Man, hey, Chris, I'm certainly excited for this. I love, like I always say, and I've told you before, I'm a self-proclaimed comp plan geek, but I mean, I'm always taking notes when I'm learning from you. There's always something that I pick up, and man, I can't wait for you to share with our team your secrets and how you've been able to take most advantage of the comp plan. So thanks a lot for being with us here today, bud.
You bet, man. I appreciate it, Robert. And thanks for the honor to be asked. I really appreciate it, and it's humbling. And I tell you guys, it's funny, a little history on this. I met Robert when he still lived in Iowa, and he drove, and he was the first guy. It was really random side note, but he was the first guy to ever say anything about hummus to me. He explained to me what hummus was, because he was talking about that he drove to Iowa and was eating pita chips and hummus the whole way. And I think knocking back Red Bulls too, if I remember correctly. But it's funny because I'll tell you how I got started in this business, and I think that there's something to learn from that too. Where back when we did business opportunities in person, right, really before the social media part of this business took off. There was a business opportunity meeting, and I'd been telling my coach that I was going to sign up tonight, and then I didn't, and I'm going to sign up tonight, and then I didn't, because I was pretty sure somehow or another that this was a scam. I really was, and I was one of those guys beforehand, because I did P90X for like a week, right, in probably 2008, and was probably lost 10 pounds in that week. But, I got the flu or a cough or went to see a movie or something and then fell off the wagon and put it on the shelf again forever. And I was one of those club members where every 3 months I'd be like, oh, yeah, I need to cancel that. Oh, yeah, I need to cancel that because I'd see it come through. And I really didn't have the $42 at the time. But, I got to a point in my physical fitness where, like Robert said, I was a SWAT team leader and I implemented the physical fitness standard. And I was creeping up on 270 pounds. And regardless of what 99.9% of the people who are 270 pounds tell you, they're not in good shape, right? I was one of those cops that I was like, I'm just really strong. I may not be svelte. I don't have a swimmer's body, but, I'm strong. And I knew that I was lying to myself and I was just fat. But, and so I had to do something about that. And so I decided, all right, I'm going to do P90X for real this time. And then when I decided that, I kept seeing the little girl at the bottom. I don't think she's there anymore. But back then when you'd log in, there's a little girl at the bottom and she's got a card and it says, be a coach on there. And I was like, man, I can't be a coach. Nobody would trust me, yada, yada, yada. But I decided I was going to do the supplements. And I was intrigued by the 25% off. And really, I did the math and I was like, and I think what I did actually was I canceled my club membership because I was just signing up for the discount. Signed up as a coach, canceled my club membership because it worked out to about the same. Back then it was like $15 a month. So it was $45 for 3 months and I got 25% off instead of 10% off. So that's what I did. We didn't have Shakeology, but I was using Recovery Drink and I was using the protein bars and seems like I was using something else too, but it escapes me right now. But anyway, I digress. So I started doing P90X and I was getting really great results. and so when I decided, okay, I think I might want to do this coach thing, back to the biz op. Charlene Booker, who lived down here in Texas at the time, was having a live business opportunity meeting. And it's funny how this thing plays out and how pivotal it was in my future. Where there was a diamond meeting before the biz op, and then there was the biz op, right? So the schedule said like 8 to 9 diamond meeting, 9 to 12 biz op, and I had court or something, and so I called Charlene. I was like, hey, I can't make the biz op, but I'm thinking about being a coach. Can I come to this diamond meeting? And she said yes. I hadn't even signed up as a coach, and she's like, sure, and so I was sitting there, and there was only like 7 people there. And it's funny, Melissa Hudgens was there. Stephanie Richardson was there. Barbie Decker, Barbie Decker, French literature professor with the curly hair and the glasses and that Barbie Decker, not the Barbie Decker we all know and love now. And a couple of other people. And since I'm going to be talking about genealogy, it's funny because, and I say this with love, but I remember they were talking about money, but I remember Melissa in particular talking about, we're going to start doing this strong leg thing. And she drew a little diagram and she's like, we've been putting people all over the place, but if you put them all in one spot, it's better for everybody. And at the time I didn't know what that meant, but later I did. And I'll tell you, I'll give a shout out to Charlene. Afterwards, I talked to her because I was like, okay, these girls are talking about really making money. They're not saying this for my benefit, so this is clearly legit. And I talked to Charlene, and I was like, hey, my coach is in Maine, and you live like 20 minutes from me. Should I sign up with you instead of him? And she's like, no, you need to sign up with the person who sent you here. That's not how I run my business. And so I did, and and everything worked out great. And the thing that meeting did for me, in addition to showing me that that this was a real business, that these people were really making money, it showed me that they were just like me, and that was the thing. Self-confidence has never been something that I struggled with. You ask anybody around me and they'll tell you that, but I mean, I don't deem it generally as arrogant. I'm just confident. I know that if I'm going to do something, and I set my mind to it, that I could do it. I grew up and I was like, hey, I'm going to be a cop. So I went and became a cop. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to be on SWAT. And so I did that. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to make sergeant. So I was one of the youngest sergeants at the police department, and then the team leader. And so, I knew that if this was legit, and I had serious doubts before that meeting, really, but I left that meeting saying, I think this is legit. And if it is, I'm going to crush it. If it's really up to me, then I'm going to blow the doors off of this thing. And, and that's what I did. I made Diamond in 6 weeks. I talked to everybody. I talked to everybody. And it was easy. I really didn't know what I was saying. And I did a lot of, beach body vomiting on people in the beginning, which, I think every new coach does, where we sign up and we're like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting. And I'm changing lives and I'm losing weight. And, you make Success Club 5 and they give you customers and then you earn money off these customers and blah. And, and the people are like, ugh, and they just feel dirty. But I was very passionate about it. And, and the thing that I had, I've never, ever felt salesy, right? And there's an important facet to that, where, the reason I didn't feel salesy is because I hit the ground running and I said, okay, 90 days, I'm doing P90X. And it took me, a few days to get to it, but I was like, no more beer and pizza, no more junk food at all. I mean, I ate stupid clean for 6 months and lost 62 pounds. And so I knew that it worked. And I was making money too, because people were seeing my results. And so when I'm talking to them about it, and I just sold a ton of P90Xs, right? I mean, my whole SWAT team ended up doing P90X because they saw my results. And so being salesy, which is something that I hear a lot from new coaches or people who are thinking about it, that never crossed my mind, because I knew that if they did it, and they did it with the same ferocity and determination that I did, that it would change their life, that I was doing them a favor, that whether it was the business side of things or the fitness side of things, if they did it and they did it right, it would absolutely change their life. Now, to what degree kind of depends on them, because at the time, I was getting really excited about a $42 paycheck, or man, on a really big week, $100 paycheck. But, the thing was I was working overtime, side jobs or whatever at $25 an hour. So that was 4 hours worth of work that I was getting from home for talking to people, basically on Facebook. And so I'll back up a little bit about how the other thing that really helped me succeed. The first thing was I knew that if it was up to me, I was going to do it, right? I worked at a government job where I was the hardest working sergeant there by far. I made more arrests than all of the other sergeants put together. But I was the lowest paid sergeant because I was junior. And nobody had anything to say about it. It was like in writing, you've been a sergeant this long, this is how much you make. That's it, right? So it didn't matter how much work I put into it. It didn't correlate to how much money I made. And so that I really struggled with that. The next thing that I did was I did what my coach said, right? My coach at the time was ironically 17 years in the Army, give or take. I think maybe 16. I think he left a year after I started, or in the military. I don't remember what branch, but anyway. And he's like, okay, hey, first thing I need you to do is, after now that you're crushing your workouts, I need you to get Facebook. And I was like, oh, dude, Facebook. Nobody, Facebook's for geeks. Nobody, that's for like kids. I'm not getting on Facebook. And he's like, no, you need to get on Facebook. And it took me basically just a second of hesitation to be like, okay, look, I'm asking this guy for advice and he's telling me what to do because I want to be like him. I want to have the success that he has. And he's telling me, and I'm telling him no, so I'm kind of being an asshat and not really respecting his opinion that I'm asking him for. So I got Facebook. And so, I told him, all right, I got Facebook and I got like 42 friends. And he's like, no, you need more friends than that. I was like, no, man, I can't be friends with people unless like we share a meal and like I really know them. And he's like, well, no, I think you need more friends than that. And so I had that split second of hesitation and I was like, okay, guess I'm going to be friends with a lot of people. And so I started friending people, and I started going into groups. And, now I've got, 4,300 friends and, 3,000 or 4,000 followers or something like that. And, if right after I say hi to somebody, basically I try and find a way to find out if they're on Facebook, because, what I want them to see my news feed, and I want them to see what it is that I'm doing. And that's somebody that later will do something. When I friend all of these people, I don't immediately turn around and invite them to a challenge group or something like that. But I post 3 to 5 times a day. And so they see that, I'm just a normal guy. I don't really like working out, if we're being honest, but I do it anyway because it's good for me and I want to live a long time. And they see what Beachbody has allowed me to do. Now, those people that I friended 5-6 years ago, a lot of them come around and they're like, man, all right, I've watched what you've done. I kept waiting for you to go back to the police department or get a job at the post office or whatever, and you don't. You keep, going on trips and doing all these other things. So, let me in. Tell me how to do this. And so that's how I build my business, is through what I call, and I didn't make this up, but what is called attraction marketing, right? People come to me more often, honestly, than I go to them, because they see what it is that I'm posting on Facebook, and I keep it, to a certain extent, I keep it away from politics. In the beginning, I kept it away from politics completely. I've now kind of built my brand to where, I'm about personal responsibility, and I'm about, taking care of yourself. And so that leans towards a particular side of the political spectrum. But that's part of my brand now, and I still get people from the correct party and the wrong party, but that's okay. Everybody deserves a chance to succeed. And so, I'll go back a little bit and think about when I met Robert for the first time. It was funny because, he'd been a firefighter, and again, he was just a guy just like me, pretty much. I mean, it's ironic because all of those people that I mentioned, and a lot of people that I didn't, I really tried to learn from them and tried to spend time with them if I was able to. I wasn't on Robert's team, but somehow or another I managed to shoehorn my way into a lot of his events or his dinners and stuff like that. And so, I'm learning from Robert, and I'm learning from Melissa and Stephanie and Julie Schulte, and Jason Diebold was always around back then, and they were people just like me who had changed their lives, and really I was like, they don't deserve this any more than I do. If I put the work in, their kids don't deserve these things any more than my kids do. So as a father, I really kind of have a responsibility to do this. And so I did. And I really never looked back. It's never, sometimes people tell me that, they thought about quitting or whatever, that thought never, ever crossed my mind. I would set a goal, I would knock that goal down, and then I would set the next one. And I remember, guys, these certain benchmarks where, I remember being excited about $100 a week. I remember sitting in or getting dressed for a SWAT raid one time and telling one of my team, a guy who was on my team, coaching and SWAT, but he was one of my first coaches, and I was like, dude, I made $400 last week, $400, and I was just amazed. And then later, I remember telling Cody, we made $800, and I would just keep seeing these benchmarks. I remember telling Cody, I think we've made our last sub $3,000 week, or we made our last sub $5,000 week. And, now we're talking about stupid money for a cop who was making, $64,000 a year or something like that, $3,000 a week while I'm still a cop. That's when I was like, okay, I think it might be time for me to leave. Like I said, my coach left at 17 years, and I told him he was crazy. He was 3 years away from a retirement. And I'll tell you guys, I left at 17 years now too. And that monthly retirement is about, not quite 2 days pay now. And so it's a no-brainer. You know, Robert was telling me about a firefighter that he knows, we know mutually, and he was like, yeah, that guy left at 17 years, crazy, you know, but that guy just doesn't know. He doesn't know the possibility, and he wasn't, you know, I'm sure, I talked to the guy, I signed several firefighters, but they just didn't have the drive. They were okay with the status quo, and that's fine. If you're okay with the status quo, then that's fine. Nobody's telling you you have to be successful, you know. But Gary Vaynerchuk made a great video about it the other day. But you know, if you aren't as successful as you want to be, then quit bitching about it and do something about it, you know. Because if you're watching this video, you're a coach, and you have the vessel in front of you to do whatever it is you want with it. You know, I love analogies, and I'm talking about vessels. And, you know, I mean, this business is it's like a boat, really, you know, I mean, and if you get in your boat and you push off from shore and you're just like, all right, well, let's see where the wind takes me. It's not going to take you much. It's not going to take you far, right? And you're not going to have any kind of direction. But if you get into your boat and you listen to the other people who have done this before you, and you set your sail and you see where it is you want to go, and you work to make sure that you stay on course, and you keep your track right, and you keep, you know, your eye on the horizon, and you keep that moving forward, then you can't help but get there, you know. And so it's not about wandering aimlessly and signing up and saying, okay, well, I wonder if anybody's going to come over and ask me about Shakeology, or if somebody's going to come over and ask me about, you know, a Beachbody program. It's about setting your sail and going out there and doing it. And so, you know, that's what I did. Everything that I post on Facebook is to build my brand, you know, as a family man, as, you know, a person who is into personal responsibility. I don't just share random things unless I can kind of, you know, tie it to my brand. You know, I posted something about Prince earlier. You know, I mean, I shared a Prince video. Prince gets a lot of hits right now. Of course, you know, I'm a child of the 80s, basically. You know, I mean, I remember Raspberry Beret when it came out. That's what the video was. Because today, you know, whatever. I mean, I don't know when you guys are watching this, but you know, it was launched today in 1985. So that's when the video came out. But so everything that I post has a purpose about building my brand. You know, if you look at my Facebook page, you know, please choose to follow me. My page is open. You know, I'm pretty close to my friend limit, but you know, I have different things that are my brand. Like I talked about, whether it's family, friends, we go to Disney a lot. You know, we live in Texas and we have season passes to Disney. Can't do that on a cop salary. You know, and I'm a bit of a grammar Nazi, or an apostrophe Nazi, and that's okay. You know, I mean, that's one of those things that, you know, people share stuff with me now because they're like, look, they take a picture of a sign where somebody used an apostrophe wrong, and they tag me in it. So, you know, I mean, it's about building your brand and your online presence, and knowing that it's completely up to you if you succeed or fail. You know, it's about just taking that kind of ownership. You know, if you've signed up or if you missed Success Club, you know, I guess that would have been a decent stat to say to you. You know, I mean, I'm like 72 or 73 months in Success Club. I don't know. You know, the first time that I made Success Club, I tell you, that's funny. I've got Alexa, you know, the little Amazon thing, and she thinks I'm talking to her. I guess I said something that sounds close to Alexa because she's talking to me from the other room. Sorry. But anyway, it sidetracked me a little bit. But so the first 2 months that they came out with Success Club, I was like, that's impossible. Because I was just selling some P90Xs and some other stuff. But I was like, 5 points in a month? That's insane. You know, who can do that? And at the time they were like, hey, you know, you make Success Club 9 months in a row and you get to go on this cruise. And I was like, geez, you know, who can do Success Club 9 months in a row? It's impossible. You know, there's going to be like 4 or 5 people on the boat. It's going to be Robert Hudgens and Barbie Decker and Jason Diebold and you know, Melissa McAllister and Christine Dwyer. This is the whole Beachbody contingent. But again, I I went to Summit, which is around the corner right now at least. But I mean, this shows the power of events. I went to Summit and saw that there were a lot of other people that were successful at this, and they were also just like me. And so I left saying, okay, you know what? Success Club's up to me. If it's possible to do it, then I'm going to do it. And, that month I made Success Club for the first time, and I haven't missed it since. And I still had a warm market at that time where, I was talking to people that I knew, but a couple of months later, it didn't take long, a couple of months later, I remember looking at how I made Success Club, and it was signing 3 or 4 people that I didn't even know 2 months earlier, right? They were all new people because I was constantly adding to my list. And so that's when, at that moment, I realized I will never miss Success Club because I will never meet everyone in the world, right? If the people that I'm going to make Success Club by helping them 2 months from now, I haven't met yet, then my supply of people to talk to is infinite. It's never ending. And so, I put that as a non-negotiable. And if you can't say, oh, I'm going to be a successful Beachbody coach and not make Success Club, because those things don't match up. There may be a time 6, 7, 8 years from now where you're focusing on other things, but that's a really small group of people. And, and right now, Success Club for new coaches, or even, if you're not in the Millionaires Club already, Success Club is one of the things that you have to be focusing on. And you have to be teaching your people to do that too. The way that you build a monumental business, a life-changing business, is you make Success Club every single month. And then you have 3 to 5 of your coaches make Success Club every single month too. And then your team can't help but grow. Now, I was signed up as an orphan, right? Which means that my coach never built underneath me. And so I remember looking at my genealogy and seeing like 28 people, and I was at the top. I'm Adam, right? And I was like, and every one of those people I knew, or I knew the person who brought them in. But at the time, honestly, because I wasn't duplicating very well, I pretty much brought all of those people in. Because I had one emerald. When I went diamond, I had one guy who made emerald on his own by signing his dad and I think his brother. And then I signed Cody, who at the time had no interest in the business. But I signed her and made her emerald so it could make me diamond. And that was the key part of this. Was I set a goal, and I knew that it was up to me. If I didn't make Success Club, it wasn't because this person said they were going to order Friday night and they didn't, because this person told me they were going to call me back and they didn't, or anything else. It was because I didn't talk to enough people. That was going to be why I didn't make Success Club. If you tell yourself, or if somebody asks you, hey, did you make Success Club? And you say no, and then you follow it up with all the other people's fault that it is that you didn't make Success Club, then you've got the wrong mindset, because this is your business. It's not their business. It's not their responsibility to make sure that you succeed. It's only your responsibility. So in the beginning, I actually had, 3 or 4 people that owed me a solid. And I was like, look, if I call you on the 30th and tell you, look, I need you to try this for a month, I'll take you out to dinner, or I'll just owe you one. I had those people in the beginning because missing Success Club was not an option, because I knew that I had to be in Success Club to be successful. And I had to be able to show other people that, look, you know what? I'm working 60 hours a week. My wife works full time. We've got 3 kids. They're in scouts. They're in soccer. They're in jujitsu. I'm just as busy as you are, maybe even busier. But I chose to make this work. And I own the responsibility for it to work 100%. And so because I own the responsibility 100%, I get to own my success or my failure. It's never anybody else's fault. It's my fault if I don't reach my goals. You know, like I can't tell you how many times I've decided, hey, I'm going to be 15 star, and then not put in the work to make it happen. It's not because, you know, my people don't want to be diamond enough, or you know, I'm not finding, or, you know, it's not them, it's me. You know, I'm not finding the right people. I'm not inspiring them in the way that they need to be inspired, but it's not me, or it's not them. It's on me that I haven't reached that goal yet. Now my goal has changed a little bit from that, and we'll talk about that genealogy and what that means in a couple of minutes. But you know, the last analogy that I want to use before I kind of start talking about building is an analogy that I used it in Baltimore with Hudge. But you know, I mean, we're all on the same road. We're all on the same highway, right? And it only goes one place unless you decide to quit and give up on your dreams and take an exit and then go back to status quo land or wherever it is that you've decided, you know what, I'm okay with the status quo more than I'm not okay with fulfilling my dreams and designing my own life. And so we're all on the same road. My mentor, Monica Ward, said to me something that I repeat all the time, which is, you know, the only difference between her and me was time and consistency. This is not an overnight business for anybody. It's not an overnight business. It's time and consistency. You know, so if you put in 4 hours a week, then you're going to make it a certain way or a certain distance down that road. But if you put in 8 hours a week over the same time frame, then you're going to be twice as far down the road. I mean, it's just really that simple. You know, the time frame gets shorter if you become efficient and you work harder, but it doesn't happen overnight. But so I knew, right, that I'm on the same highway that Monica's on. I'm on the same highway that Hudge is on. And, you know, the things that they're seeing now are things that I'm going to see too, because I put my work into this car, you know, that's taking me down this highway, this Beachbody highway to a design life, you know, and you know, my car is not in the garage. You know, I'm not reading the owner's manual to learn how to unlock and lock the doors and do all these other things, which some people do. They got to completely read the comp plan, and they got to completely read all of these other things. That's not what I did. You know, you fix the plane while you're flying it. You know, I jumped in the car and took off, and I was like, all right, I'm pretty sure the wheels are going to stay on, and I'll tighten those things up as I go. And that's exactly what I did. So, you know, and it's cool for me now to look at, you know, my journey down this highway and remember when, you know, before Hudge was in the Millionaires Club, or before like anyone except for maybe Pete Pena, I think, or no, Couch, I think was the first, whatever. But there was like one millionaire, right, at the time. And all of those people at that meeting, you know, they still had jobs. Charlene Booker still worked at Lockheed. Barbie was still a French literature professor. Jason Diebold was still an engineer working on, you know, luggage delivery belts or something. I don't remember what he did, but everybody had jobs. Mark Briggs was still a cop. You know, all of these people still had jobs, but they were on this highway in front of me. And soon they all started leaving their jobs. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Now, at the time, I was like, I'm not leaving my job till I do my 20. I'm not doing 20 in a day, but I'm not leaving until I do my 20. But then, you know, something crazy happened. And there's another quote that I'll steal from somebody else, Patrick Santiago, that said, you know, anybody who tells themselves that they would never quit their job is lying to themselves, you know, and because that's the easy way out. Because then you don't have to work that hard. Because I tell you, if you've got a job and making, say, $50K a year, right, and you're happy with how your life is or whatever, and somebody came up to you and they were like, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay you $100 a year. You don't have to go to work anymore. You know, you can just do whatever you want. They'd quit their job. They would quit their job. 99.9% of the people would leave their job. But you have to say, I would never quit my job, to put that out of reality, to make that not be a goal. So my challenge to you is, if you're one of those people who says that, I dare you to make it a possibility. Because when you say, I would never quit my job right now, in your brain, it's not a possibility that you actually would be able to. But I dare you to put yourself in a spot where you could, if you wanted to, and you would still be able to maintain your same standard of living. And that's what it came down to for me, was, you know, I was 17 years on the job, making now 3 times with Beachbody what I was making as a sergeant. And I really started to have to wonder why I was lacing up my boots at 4:30 in the morning, missing my kids' soccer games, having to ask somebody else's permission to go to their birthday parties, you know, hoping I got holidays off. All of these things that no longer were mandatory because I put effort into this Beachbody vehicle that I had. And so, you know, these road signs and this scenery, these, you know, debt-free road signs, this rental property road signs, these nice cars, no car payments road signs that all these other people were seeing, those were things that I was now starting to see too. You know, I remember one of my big aha moments for me was, guys, I'm 6'3", and, you know, 235 now. You know, like I said, I was 267 at the time, and I drove a Ford Ranger, not even an extended cab, right? I wore that thing like a jacket. You know, I mean, my head, I don't know why I bought it. I mean, like, when I left the parking lot, I was like, really? Because my head touched the ceiling in this little truck. And I'm a Texas cop, right? And everybody in the parking lot has big freaking trucks, right? Except for me. I pull into the sergeant spot with my little Ford Ranger that is missing a mirror because a tree fell on it. My AC's out. I live in Texas. My brake light doesn't work. I can't fix my brake light because my tailgate broke and it doesn't drop. And so I was like, you know, we went and we saw Toy Story 3. And the day before that, one of my friends drove in, and he has this really nice Dodge pickup truck. I ended up buying a Chevy, but whatever. You know, and he's got this really hoss looking truck. And I was like, dude, I think I need a new truck. You know, how much is your car payment? Now, I didn't have a car payment. You know, I drive my trucks or my cars till the wheels fall off. It's just the way that I am. But so I really didn't even know how much a car payment was. And he's like, it's like, you know, $580 a month. And I was like, man, I make that in a week with Beachbody. Why am I driving this little truck? And, you know, so we went to see the movie the next day. And Cody, my wife, she's like, well, what do you want to do now? And I was like, I think I want to buy a truck. And that's what we did. You know, we drove across the street to a Chevy lot, and I picked out a truck, and I picked out a nice truck. And then I made it nicer by adding other stuff to it. And I'd never really driven a nice vehicle before. And so that was one of my first times where I was like, dude, I'm freaking arriving. You know, I'm driving a nice truck. It's all blacked out, all murdered out. It's cool, you know, and I'm not driving this other thing. And I'm paying for it in a week. You know, I paid that truck off in like a year and a half. If I'm doing it right, you know, you pay cash for stuff now. But, you know, I paid it off in a year and a half. And I wouldn't ever been able to do that with Beachbody. You know, I was living from one consolidation loan to the next because I was just, you know, I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. I was past that, you know. I was like, I mean, really, I remember thinking, I'm not sure how I'm ever going to get out of debt. Maybe an inheritance, but I mean, I might be more in debt than an inheritance by the time that comes around, God willing. So, you know, I really saw how this could change my life, and I became that example to other people. People saw what I was doing, and they would come to me and they'd be like, okay, you know, let me in. Tell me what it is that you're doing to make this happen. And so with that being said, I'll move into genealogy now. So because this this ability, this comp plan, man, we have the ability to make money so many different ways. And, the cool thing about this business is you get in cheap. You know what, Hudge, I'm going to run and grab something to drink because I'm about to lose my voice. But hold on, I'll be right back. I promise. Sorry.
So guys, make sure, again, like I said, that you're taking notes, because you're going to want to get this information that he's going to go through, because I get so many questions along the way of what do I do? Do I sign up my spouse, or do I wait? What leg do I put them on? How does that work? What about other family members? What about my kids? Stuff like that. This is what Chris is just now about to get into.
Exactly. So, wow, I feel much better now. So, here's what I tell people when they come in. So, I was pretty sure it was a scam, so I didn't sign my wife right away. Now, when I had 7 coaches and I needed a diamond, I signed her, and she was my 8th coach, and I made her emerald that day. So that I could go diamond. But here's what I tell people now. There's a couple of different facets to because it depends on them. If they come in and they're telling me, man, I'm going to crush this business, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to do what you've done, then I tell them, cool, I can absolutely help you do that. But what I want you to do is let's get you set up, and then 2 family members. Your first 2 coaches are family members. Now, that's not what I tell everybody, okay? But I'm telling you guys, if you are serious about building this business and making the most out of this comp plan, and you haven't signed a family member on both sides of your organization, then you need to, okay? But I understand that the attraction to this business is you can get in for $140. And if you multiply that by 3, now, we're talking about what, $520? I don't know, $420. So, that's different. Now, the good part is if you sell, you sign your wife and adult son with challenge packs, $140 challenge packs, you get $40 back. So, you're not that deep into it. But you do that so that you have 2 spots at the very top of your organization, because then you can later build those inside legs. But if you're only going to sign 1 coach, right, maybe you're not full tilt into this, you're kind of just dipping your toe in, then I tell everybody on my team, your spouse needs to be your second coach, right? It doesn't matter if they're working the business or not. The vast majority of spouses don't work the business, but they're coaches anyway. I guarantee you, every successful coach, their spouse is also a coach, at least in name only. Because what it does, it's like having a franchise, guys. It's like having a Subway store, right? You got 1. Why would you not want 3? So that you can earn money off of 3 different spots instead of 1. So, but I tell people your spouse needs to be your second coach, because I don't want them, if they're not fully into this, I don't want them to come in, sign their spouse, the easiest 2 points they're ever going to get, and then dick around and not do what I told them to, and not make Emerald that month, and not make Success Club that month, and they just kind of blown the easiest 2 points they're ever going to get, right? So that's why I say the second coach. And I tell them the strong leg, and I'll tell you guys, I used to tell people to put coaches in the weak leg. And short term, you actually make more money putting coaches in the weak leg. But later, it's going to come back and bite you. And it's pretty advanced why that is, but I'll go into it just a little bit. If you put your coach, you put your spouse, and you don't have a family account in your strong leg, and you put your spouse in your weak leg, and and that's where you're building, right? If you're building towards diamond, say you might have 4 coaches and 4 personally sponsored coaches in your strong leg, and say 7 or 8 in your weak, because that's where you're building, and that's where you earn your money from, right? So if you put those coaches over there and you crack an emerald on your weak side, and now to go diamond, you need an emerald on your strong side where you don't earn money, it hurts. It hurts to build over there because you're not earning team cycle bonus off of that side because you've got such a good, solid, strong leg. So if you sign your spouse up and you put them in your strong leg, which means that you see coaches being put underneath you that you didn't put there and you don't know where they came from, then what that does is it lets you go and build that. That's your first coach on the strong side. And then you can build all the way to 4 coaches on the weak side because you know that you're not going to lose Emerald, right? Because you've got that one solid coach that you control over there. Because if you put the spouse on the weak and you've got, and you know, you still build that same way, you got one coach in the strong leg and 4 coaches on the weak, and that person pauses their Shakeology or cancels or whatever, goes inactive for a month, then you lose rank. You got 4 coaches, but you're not even an Emerald because you don't have that one on the strong side because that's not where you're earning money from right now. And so, you know, that's why I changed my mind on that, because I ran into that problem where, you know, I had been telling people to do this, and then some of them were having trouble hitting diamond because they didn't want to build on that strong side because they didn't have a family member over there. Now, the question is, how do you make money off of your spouse in the strong side? So let's talk about that. And I'm going to draw a little piece of paper here. And I'm going to write spouse. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to read it or not, but okay. So can you see that? Okay. So look, so this is your weak leg. This is where you normally place coaches. And this is your strong leg. So this is where, you know, everybody else on the team is putting coaches down here. You got this huge strong leg. It's got a bunch of people in it, and you got your spouse up here at the top. So what that does, if you're lucky enough to have a really good strong leg like that, what that lets you do, I'm going to do it with my pen, is you come in here and you graphically place your other coaches on the inside of your spouse after you make them Emerald. Okay, so I'm going to say 3 and 4. Okay, so when you build on your strong side, because if you've got carryover volume, you're not earning off of that side. But if you've got your spouse over there and you make them Emerald, then you're able to earn money no matter where you put a coach, basically for the rest of your life, right? So if this is my spouse and this is the good, strong leg, when I build, if I build all the way, if I put my next coach and I've made her Emerald, and I put my coach all the way down here, I don't earn anything, right? Because this is my strong leg. I don't earn anything off of this side. I feel weird peeking behind this paper, but that's what we're going to do. Okay, but if my spouse is Emerald and I come in and I graphically place my coaches, they're not her coaches, they're my coaches, and I graphically place them right here, and she's Emerald, and she's got this good strong leg over here, then she makes $14, right? And I make $1.40. So now for every 100 points, I make it $14 for every 100 points. For every 100 points, instead of earning nothing for building all the way down at the bottom, my wife earns $14 because I'm building on her inside leg, and then I'm earned $1.40 as a diamond and in matching bonus. And so that means that I actually earn more from building on her inside leg than I do on my weak leg, because I earn, well, not exactly, I guess, because I earn $18 over there. Sorry, scratch that. I earn $18 because I'm diamond building on my weak leg. But if I have to put coaches on my strong leg, then I put them on my spouse's weak leg. Now, let's think about that. Let's say that I put, and I did, put dad on this other side. This is where it gets great, guys, is I put dad on my weak side, and I made him Emerald also. And he's got a good strong leg now on his side, right? Because I've been building underneath him. And so say dad's right here. He's on my weak leg, and I made him emerald. This is the strong leg. This is where the team's building, right? The team that I've put there. But now when I come in and I graphically place my coaches right here, because this leg is good and it's going to go. It's going forever now, right? There's workers down there. So now, guys, if I put this coach right here, and then I put another one here, and they both bring in, say, 100 points, just to use round numbers. They bring in 100 points a month, a week, bring in 100 points a week. So now dad earns $14, right? And dad is me, because Beachbody lets you have U plus 2. So that money goes straight into my bank account. And so dad earns 14, I earn 18, and then I earn $1.40 on matching bonus. So now in that little side of on that side of that business, for that 100 points, that if I built all the way down at the very bottom of that side, I would earn $18. Now I'm earning, what is it, $33.40. $33.40 instead of 18. So, you know, that's a big deal. If you as things go, it just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'll tell you guys, this is what I did with my dad's account. And I made my dad diamond, and I eventually put a business center, one of our business centers underneath him. And, my dad is a diamond, doesn't work the business, has never worked the business. And that account earns between, $1,400 and $1,800 a week now, because of this strategy right here. Now it gets a little crazy, and I'll show you on a different piece of paper, because, Hudge was talking about, because there was a time where I was making like $83 or something like that when I sold a bag of Shakeology. And I'll tell you why that was. One of the analogies that I use, this is like a money train, right? And the genealogy is like a money train. And and every CBC, every business center that I control is like a place where the money train stops and makes a deposit as that volume is coming up to me. And so, I'm not sure if my math is going to work out here correctly if this, because I'm just winging this, but let's say that these are all my business centers, right? My family accounts, because with U plus 2, I get 2 and Cody gets 2. So, we take advantage of that. So this is me, right? And this is Cody, she's diamond. This is dad, he's diamond. And then this is Cody's second business center. And, that may not be how it's lined out graphically, but it's pretty close. And so let's say that, somebody comes to me and they say, hey, I want a bag of Shakeology. Cool. We're going to sell it off of Cody's second business center, right? So Cody makes $33. And this account here makes $18. And this account here makes $18. So now we're at 33 plus 36, we're at 69. And this account here makes $18. So now we're at $87. And then actually, because of matching bonus times 3, it's $90.80 off of a bag of Shakeology, because I sold it out of that spot and I built my organization in that way. Now, I'll tell you, the thing that I tell people, or the thing that I hear every time I say this, is there's no way. How does Beachbody make money if, they sell a bag of Shakeology for $97 or $133 and you make $97 or, $90? The reason is because not everybody does what I do, and not everybody has this many business centers. There's a ton of people, right? I'm sure my organization is like 80% discount coaches. So they're making money hand over fist off of these people who the only thing they do is buy their Shakeology. And so that's where they make their profit. They're not making money off of that sell. I guarantee you they're not. But I represent the minority in this. But anybody can do this. If I can do this, anybody can do this. And I understand, guys, that this is Greek to a lot of people. I'm going to tell you, you know, one of the things that I'm really proud about, I mean, I've talked to a couple of top 10 coaches, and we, you know, because they asked me about genealogy, and they were like, hey, will you take a look at my organization or whatever? And I'm telling you, I talked to one girl right before she went on a top 10 trip, and I look at her organization, and her first coach in her strong leg, or her first coach in her weak leg, was her husband. And he was blue. He wasn't even an emerald. And I was like, what in the world are you doing here? You've got a couple of thousand coaches in your husband's strong leg, and you're putting coaches there every day because she's a recruiting phenom, and your husband, you're not making any money off of it. And so, you know, and it's cool because we were doing a video chat just like this, and I saw that light bulb pop. And, you know, her husband's a diamond now, maybe even a 2-star diamond now. And, you know, when we talked, she's like, I think I'm over 100K in what I make now because I started building the way that you said. I think my husband's, you know, past 100K. And that's kind of a cool little feather in my hat if I can brag about that for just a second and be like, you know, this is about impacting other people's lives and changing their lives. And this is somebody who was about to go to Italy or Argentina or wherever the trip was that year, you know, and a conversation that she had with me, you know, will end up, guys, making her millions of dollars, you know, and it's not something that people see readily. Some people don't see this readily, and some people, but some people do. But if you build this way, you're going to maximize your comp plan. So let me go back a little bit and tell you some of the other pushback I get on signing 2 spouses is that they don't want 3 bags of Shakeology coming to the house. Okay, I understand that. That's fine. You know, the challenge packs that I tell people to buy, you know, I'm like, hey, get a refresh challenge pack. You know, get 2 refresh challenge packs with the triple combo. You've got, you know, 48 sample packs now, and you got 2 refreshes that you can use or whatever later. And then they don't have to be on Shakeology anymore. You can cancel that home direct, and if you need them to be active, you can put them on the 52-point refresh, and you can turn around and you can sell that. You can put them on all of our performance line stuff now. We've got so many great performance products now that are 50 points or more. So if you need them to be active, then you can put that on home direct. But here's the other thing that people miss, guys, is that, like, my mom is a coach, right? But she hasn't been active for years because I don't need her to be active, you know, because my mom is a coach because I'm going to will that, you know, I'm going to transfer my son into that spot when he turns 18, right? I'm playing a long game here, guys, and I'm going to transfer into that spot when, you know, when he turns 18. And so I'm holding that spot. But the thing is they're only active if I need them to be. So let's say you sign up, you know, mom and dad, okay? And then you make Success Club, and then next month you get 2 more people, and you're like, look, I really don't need more recovery drink or any of this stuff right now. You can cancel all of their stuff and actually let them go inactive, because as long as you got 2 spots, 1 coach on either side, you're still Emerald, right? You're Emerald whether you got 4 coaches or you got 2 coaches. So you can let them go inactive until you get your other 6 and you're about to pop diamond. Well, now it's time for mom to buy a refresh and dad to get some recovery so that you've got your 8, right? So it's not about stockpiling Shakeology. It's about building this business with a purpose. And, you know, and building for the long game, guys. You know, those spots are from my parents. They're willed to me, and, you know, and I hope that I get the opportunity to transfer them to my kids, because that means that my parents, you know, are still around. But if not, you know, I mean, if something happens, then that spot becomes my business center. The only way that you can get a new business center in Beachbody is through going 2-star, or if somebody wills a business center to you. So, you know, I'm playing this for a spot where, you know, when my kid turns 18, should I want him to be able to have a spot that earns $1,800 a week? Probably not, to be honest with you. But, you know, I have that opportunity. But I don't have to, you know, people worry about, you know, college funds or retirement funds or all that stuff. I don't worry about that stuff, guys, because I'm set. You know, people come to me and they want to talk about, you know, planning for retirement and stuff like that. And I'm not poo-pooing financial advice, you know, because, you know, I'm using it, but I'm using it to make life better, not to be like, well, I hope I get by and I can pay for my meds when I'm 70. Does that make sense? And so, you know, the thing that I want you guys to remember, you build in graphical genealogy, right? You know, one of the first things you do, you need to go in and take your business center off of automatic placement. And it needs to be in you know, where you're setting it up. And remember, you got 5 days now, 5 business days to move somebody. So you need to check when you sign a coach, you know, reach out to somebody on your team who knows and be like, hey, I just signed this person. Does this look right? Especially if this is new to you, because if you put them in the wrong spot, then, you know, then it's going to make it harder for them to do this. So I think that I've used up more than my time, but any other last questions? I gotta run and get my boy from take him to the dentist.
Oh, no, Chris, I don't think so. I mean, again, it's one of those things where I'd said earlier on, man, make sure you take copious notes and watch this video a couple times. And no, the way that you broke it, I think is absolutely perfect, combined with great visual tools in your drawing. So, but no, you know, the biggest reason, like I said, every time that I listen to this, I have that light bulb moment come on too. And what I'm excited about this, and you sharing with this, you know, sharing this information is, you know, a brand new coach, this is great for a brand new coach to be able to start out fresh and be able to do this from the beginning. But even a coach that's been doing this for a while, it's never too late to make a change. It's never too late to kind of correct the course. And especially those coaches who have held off of signing up their spouses or the mom and dad, their family members, anybody like that. Just like you said, if anything, to have a placeholder there for the future. So no, that was great, Chris. And of course your message beforehand is absolutely inspiring. And man, I can never get tired of hearing that. And and I told you that last time we were in Baltimore, that to see the growth that's happened in you, man, and to be part of that as far as witnessing it is, man, that's what this is all about. So man, I appreciate you taking the time to share with the team, to pour your heart out, but then also your knowledge out too, and really do appreciate everything that you're doing, everything you've done for us. So thanks for being here, bud.
Cool, man. I appreciate it.
All right, bud. Well, listen, you know, again, take the time, make sure you've gone through your notes, take the time to go back and watch this again. And hopefully you've had the opportunity to really get a lot out of this Master Series training for today. And until next week, when we bring the next master on, go out there, do something with this. This is dead knowledge unless you take action. Take action with it. Get your folks on this call, and we'll see you next week. Bye now.
Thanks.